watching, you're watching, you're watching. You're watching, you're watching, you're watching. You're watching, you're watching, you're watching. You're watching.
Hello. Sure, it's nice to be here. You're looking well.
First question over here.
Okay.
Hi, Tom. I'm so happy to see you. Of course, my friend here too.
Yes.
Welcome at Hellfest.
Thank you.
Okay, and this is my first question. Okay, let me read it for you. So 3 years ago, it's not about you. 3 years ago, Nova Twins were on tour with you. So could you tell us a little more about how do you meet them? And we love them, of course. So yes, this is my first question.
They opened up for Prophets of Rage now, it's maybe 5 or 6 years ago on a tour we did when their entire crew was like their dad and their tour bus was their dad's car. And now they're, rocking festivals and rocking the world. They're a great, great band and I love them very much. Wish them the best. Yeah.
Hi, Tom.
How are you? Oh boy. Is it her? This is crazy. Yeah. Just ask. I can hear you. Thank you. I'm sorry, what was the last sentence? Oh, geez. Well, the music industry is very, very different now. But one thing that doesn't change is people's love for rock and roll. As festivals like Hellfest clearly describe, we've been playing these hard rock and metal festivals across the continent, and it's just been awesome. Like, people are responding. They're going crazy for songs from the 90s, crazy for this new song, Soldier in the Army of Love. And metal and hard rock is in a very, very healthy place because there's a new Morello coming. His name is Roman Morello. He's 13 years old. He and I wrote this new song, Soldier in the Army of Love. He's the one that plays the solo on it. I've now been relegated to being the rhythm guitar player in my own family. And we're going to open the show with it tonight. And the song came out today. So there we go. Yeah.
Okay, 1, 2. Hey, hi, Tom.
Hi.
We were chatting in Download about your son Roman on the new album. One question I meant to ask you: what does he think of you as a guitar player? Everyone thinks you're an amazing guitar player, but dads are never cool.
Yeah.
So what does Roman think of you?
Well, I'm definitely not in his top 2. His top 2 are Jimmy Page and Randy Rhoads. So I'm just angling for the bronze medal. Yes.
Like the Snow is one of my favorite tracks. It's obviously taken on a new significance.
Sure.
With Chris Castle. I want to talk about the construction of that song. It's like you two. You need so much space in the verses, and notes.
Yeah.
And then you've got that screaming and vocal solo.
Yeah.
Talk to me about Like the Snow and the construction of one of these.
Sure. I mean, I came up with like that chord progression late at night with an acoustic guitar, like just strumming around my house. And the one part of the brilliance of Chris Cornell was that no matter what you threw at him, whether it was like a complicated heavy riff or a very, very simple and sparse chord progression, he instantly came up with some brilliant melody, haunting or terrifying melody. That was very much the case with Like a Stone. The first time that we rehearsed it, like we were writing it, he sang, not the words, but sang the melody that you hear on the record, and I played the solo that you hear on the record. So it was one of those songs that it felt like it was almost unearthed in a way, and we just tapped into something that was very soulful. At every show that I play, we always do something in memory of Chris, and we'll do something today for him too. It might be Like a Stone. Spoiler alert. Just ask, man. That's not working. Yeah. Hi.
We'll give it a shot. Does that work?
Pretty good.
Okay.
You've had such an incredible career and a varied one, from Rage Against the Machine and Audioslave to Prophets and now your solo stuff. For you, what's the thread that ties all that together?
The North Star is I was in a band. I was in a band before Rage Against the Machine called Lockup, and we tried to please everybody. Yeah. We tried to please the record company, the manager, the producer, like trying to be successful. Like I'm sure the experts know better. Yeah. Like they didn't want me to do like the toggle switch thing on the record because that's not a thing that people had on records. We got dropped from the label, and the day that we got dropped from the label, two things happened. One was I vowed I was never going to play another note of music that I didn't believe in, and 21 records later. I never have. And the second thing I did on that day was I called Brad Wilk.
Yeah. Nice one. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm doing a documentary with John Motor from the Rage Against the Machine Christmas #1.
Oh, okay.
It's called Do Where's My Music. What advice would you give to younger musicians now with streaming and just...
Yeah. The advice I have is very simple. It's make sure that you love what you play. That is the only marker, the only bar for success whatsoever. I know people who are on real big bands that do not enjoy their lives, they do not enjoy the music they play, and they don't believe in it. And so whether you're playing in a basement or whether you're headlining Hellfest, make sure that the music that you play is meaningful to you and it's something that you love, whether or not anyone ever pays you a dime to do it. That would be, I don't know how you can become famous on TikTok. You'll have to ask somebody else that question.
Tom, we thank you for being here. We just lost Seth Binzer from Crazy Town, as you know, and we've lost so many talents in music, especially in rock and heavy metal music, because of anxiety, depression, and all that stuff, and addictions. So, what do you recommend to just this new guys that are entering in this world and that are kind of struggling with this kind of issues?
Yeah. Well, all I can say is when I was coming up, that wasn't even a thing. People didn't, if rockers were on drugs or whatever, you're like, oh, that's just the way they are. No one even sort of understood what depression was. In my own life and working with some musicians I've worked with, I've seen it firsthand and how it can sort of destroy people and bands and families and all that. I think just the idea that it doesn't make you a weak person. Like if you break your leg, you go to the doctor to have your leg fixed. If you're feeling depressed or you're feeling like not right or feel like you need help, it doesn't make you less metal in any way to seek help. And also to support one another and really like have your radar on and check in on people around you who you feel might be at risk. Hey, what's up?
Hello, Tom. I'm Arky Vinyl from Mexico, and I would like to know, right here? Okay. I would like to know, how do you see the evolution of the fans and the music festival in Latin America in compare what it's happening right here in Europe?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
How do you see the evolution of the fans and the music festivals in Latin America in compare what it's happening in Europe?
Yeah. Well, first of all, as you know, the fans at the Latin American festivals, it's just beyond. It's like, it may be in part because I haven't had the opportunity to play there as much. So whenever my band, whether it's solo work, Prophets, or Rage, people go so crazy. I will say though that one of my favorite crowds of all time was the last time I played at Hellfest with Prophets of Rage. It was an insane show. There were the number of people. The number of people in wheelchairs crowd surfing was a huge number. Just sort of the commitment and the love of music that you find, at these sort of festivals is one of the reasons why I still love doing it at this level. Yeah, thanks.
Hey Tom, Sofian from RTBF in Belgium. You have been an amazing, legendary artist who has always been vocal about the state of our planet and our society. When you talk with your son, Roman, and you collaborate with him, do you feel that there is hope for this new generation to carry out the flag?
Yeah. Well, there's certainly hope for the shredding, because let me tell you, that kid burns. But when it comes to the world-changing stuff, one, it motivates me, to sort of see him and my other kids to do what I can every day in my songs from the stage to sort of move the meter. But if there's one across 21 records, there's really one message that is a thread through all of my music, and that is that the world is not going to change itself. That is up to you. And by you, I literally mean you, like the people watching on your thing and your thing. That's how the world changes. And sometimes it seems like this sort of monolithic problem that we'll never be able to get past, and the world cannot be changed, or the worst people are the ones in charge, and they often are. But you are not witnesses to history. You are agents of history. History is not something that happened, it's something you make. Whenever there has been a progressive, radical, or even revolutionary positive change for the better, it's come from people who are no different than anyone in this room or any of the audiences that you're writing for or that your videos are for. Once you have that realization that you do have your hands on the wheel of history and of this planet, and if you want to make it a more peaceful, a more just, a more equitable, a more anti-racist, a more environmentally sound place, there's no one to blame if it doesn't happen but you for not standing up.
Thank you, sir.
That's what I think about that.
Hello, my name is Zidane. We've been talking about if rock and roll is still alive, etc. Who are the bands you think keep rock and roll alive these days?
Who are the bands keep? Well, first of all, I mean, you're at a festival where it's you've answered your own question by like just looking out there. Some of those bands are on this bill. I would say, I would have to say that I don't have my ear to the street like I once did because I'm spending a lot of time driving my kids to baseball practice and not as much time going through record bins like I used to. But having said that, Nova Twins are great. There's an artist named K-Flay and Grandson who I've worked with. I love baby metal. And I'll tell you, at the top of that list right now is damn Roman Morello, who's a shredding guitar player who's coming down the pike. Look out for that kid.
Thank you.
Hello, Tom. I saw you last weekend, and you're still raging on stage. So do you think that today's society is even more inspiring than it used to be, or it's also a bad signal that it's getting worse
I'm
in
sorry,
some ways?
is it even more what?
It's even more inspiring.
Oh, I see.
But isn't it also a bad signal because it's getting worse?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. It's like at any given historical moment, you stand in the place where you live and you stand in the place where you work. That's it. You know what I mean? So some people are like, you guys made Rage Records 30 years ago and now look at the horrible state of the world. Imagine what it would be like if we didn't make Rage Records 30 years ago. You know what I mean? Like at every moment, you do what you can, when you can, where you can. That's the way that I look at it. And the arc of history is a long one, and there are very, very challenging times now. Certainly in my country, and I know here as well. And that, in part, like literally the fate of the planet is at stake over the course of the next few decades. So it's time for metalheads to get their shit together.
Hi, Tom.
Hey, what's going on?
Paul from Metal Planet Music. I get very, very, very angry about the current situation in the world. And we have a good, close personal friend, Matt Reynolds. And I saw Matt in Camden the other week after your show. And Matt says the first thing that you say to him is, what do you think is happening about what's happening in the world? Do you sometimes feel overwhelmed by the whole situation and the anger that is felt within you?
Yeah. Well, it is overwhelming, and from the climate stuff to Gaza to there's a lot. But what I look at it as today, I'm going to do everything I can to do several things. One is to play the best guitar I can, to sing the best I can, to have my band, the Freedom Fighter Orchestra, deliver the goods in a way that is going to be a compelling and artistically meaningful moment. And if I do that right, the message that rides on that is going to touch somebody. Now, there's 70,000 people out there. I don't know if it touches 7 of them or 7,000 of them or whatever, but I know that over the course of 30 years, doing that, the thing I just described to you, has had repercussions far beyond what I ever imagined it could.
Hi, Tom. I'm Will Smooth from Virgin Radio in France. Nice to meet you. Thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
Just two questions. The first one is a joke. Can we take a picture together because my mommy is a really fan? Okay.
Probably.
Thank you. And the second one, drummer of Rage Against thought about the end of live of Rage Against in the beginning of this year. What about the future of Rage Against the Machine?
If there's ever any news about Rage Against the Machine, you will hear it from Rage Against the Machine.
Thank you.
Hi, Tom. My question is not about music. It's about activism. I'm Syrian Canadian, and the war in Syria made me think a lot about what's happening in the world and what caused the war in our region and in the world. And later on, I discovered that there's no way for me that for us to break from the system, because everything that we do, if we buy Pepsi, if we refill our car, if we use Instagram, we're part of the system unless we go to Switzerland to some mountain and live alone. So honestly, what I'm saying is there is no hope. So what do you think?
Well, first of all, I disagree with you. There's no hope. I would say, though, to not be so, that one option that I might suggest is to not be so wrapped up in being pure that it stops you from acting. You know what I mean? Like, yes, if you drink a Pepsi, you're not going to hell because you've supported like some corporation. What it is important to do, change comes from below. Like real meaningful change comes from below. It always has. People organize and the world changes. These are really difficult times that we're in. The planet has been in difficult times before. Sometimes times as dire as or more dire than this. And when it has come out on the right side of history, it's because people just like you, even in times when they could despair, didn't despair. That's really that's how the world changes. Like this is a dire historical moment, but it's not a unique historical moment, you know? And the way I look at it is like, I'm stuck being a guitar player. I'm cursed. It's my calling. I didn't choose it, it chose me. So now I've got to find some way to bend this weird hobby that I picked up, as a teenager and try to change the fucking world with it. And it's not easy, but wherever you are and whatever your job is and whatever your life is, whether it's standing up to illegitimate authority in your home, your place of work, your school, your country, or whatever, like I said before, like history is not something that happens, it's something that we make. So I would encourage you and your listeners or whatever to not despair, to act.
Hi Tom, Cassandra from Lyon, Le Progrès, local newspaper. First of all, thank you for talking about mental health issues. Really, really important. I'm very glad hearing that from you. But I do have a question about women in extreme music. What do you see? What's for you the place of women in the future of rock music?
I think the place for women in the future of rock music is at the front. That's where I think it is. I mean, you see more. I mean, when I was, 35 years ago, when I was coming to metal, there was very, very few women in hard music at all, and there was a real stigma. I think a lot of that stigma has gone away. I would defer to you to tell me whether it's better or worse, but it seems to be trending the right way. But I think that there should not be any barriers with regards to race, gender, genre, age, whatever, and we are seeing some of that on the stage today. But I will say some of the hardest rocking bands of the festivals that I've been at have been Baby Metal and Nova Twins. Unapologetic, fearless, with their own musical and personal style, and really able to sort of challenge the conventions of what hard rock music is and was in a way that points towards a better future for the genre.
Okay, guys, last question over here, please.
Hi, Tom.
Raise your hand. I do not see. Hi, how's it going?
Hi. So obviously punk music and hardcore, all these similar genres has always been very political. And so I was wondering if you think that the belief system of punk is dying down, and what do you think also about the rising pressures for artists to always be vocal and to use their platforms and everything for politics, and if you think that it's worth it if it's performative.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, with regards to punk dying down, I just have to defer to a younger generation. I don't know. So I would, if you, whatever you think is probably the right answer to that would be because I honestly I don't know. With regards to pressure to use your platform, I think that as an artist, you have one and only one responsibility, and that is to tell the truth in your art. If the thing that is in your heart is writing about cars and girls, and you pretend to care about electoral politics, then your art's going to be fake, and it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. You can make a perfect example is I'll take John Coltrane. John Coltrane was not a particularly political person, but his music was very, very political because of how honest it was. And by following his heart as a authentic musician, he changed the way people hear music. And he planted a flag. Through creativity, hard work, and will, you can change a thing forever. In this case, music. But through creativity, hard work, and will, What can't you change is the message of his solos. That's the way I look at it. So I would say, like, for Tom Morello's sake or for your sake, don't put some stuff about Trump in your song if you could give a shit about it. But if you do care about that stuff and you censor yourself because you fear that your label will drop you or you'll alienate fans because of your support for Palestinians or something like that, then that is a compromise of the soul which you're going to have to deal with during the hours when you should be sleeping and are likely restless. Thank you all very much. Hope you get to see the show today.
Thanks, Tom.
We're playing. I'll just tell you. Let me just tell you what you're about to step into. Is I've made 21 records and we draw from all of it. There's songs from 90. We sell I love the European fans so much. They were the ones that broke Rage Against the Machine. They were the first ones to support Audioslave. They were here for both my solo work and Prophets of Rage. And in some ways through the years, I felt they've been underserved. I would like to play many times, all the time, for all of the festivals, and we're going to make up for it today. We're playing songs from 92, from Rage era, Audioslave era, Atlas Underground, Night Watchman. We're going to open the show with the song that my son and I wrote together. And anyway, so I'm really looking forward. This is a festival I couldn't wait to get to, and I hope that there's a lot of action out there in the pit, and that you start it, young man. There we go.
Make some noise!